Hello, everybody. My name is Nick. I am joined by Isaac.
That's me.
Always. And we are today looking at some Reddit posts, more specifically on the subreddit AITA. There was one without the H as well, but this one is
There's a couple, man. There's like best of AITA, there's AITA, there's AITAH. I saw one that was like AITBH, which is Am I the Butthead? Which is I guess like
okay.
a more PG kind of channel friendly version. But But here we are, man. So for those who don't know, what is the idea behind this particular subreddit?
Okay, so the subreddit stands for Am I the Asshole? And it is effectively people posting scenarios that they have found themselves in and certain actions or decisions that they have taken that might have incited some negative response from the other people that they have been with in this situation, thus leading them to ask that question, was I in the wrong?
Yes.
Which is the PG way of actually saying the subreddit's name. Was I in the wrong, or am I actually in the right? Am I the butthead, or am I in the right? Which people in the subreddit say NTA, or not the arse.
Butthead. Yep.
Exactly. So me and Isaac have gone away and we've collated 3 of these posts each. This is going to be some interesting content. We can do this across like multiple subreddits as well and find some other stuff.
So we've both got a few posts that we've both read like independently. This first one here is one that you brought to the table. I have not read this, Nick. So do you want to read this one for the people at home, and then we can discuss as we go?
I will get into it. So I'm going to start from the point at which it says original. I'm going to talk about the original post. So Here we go. So me, 39F, and my husband, 39, and our 3 kids, who are all under 10, recently moved to a new home/neighborhood in March of this year. Our house is on a bend/corner, and we only have one house directly next to us, where a younger couple with a 4-year-old boy and 1-year-old twins live. They've been distant but friendly enough. We wave to each other occasionally. My husband contacted them when their sprinklers were flooding their yard, when they were out of town, kind of normal neighbor stuff like that. We put up security cameras shortly after moving in, and they have been alerting us when the neighbor family is walking or riding their bikes by our house. Their little boy comes into our driveway and runs or rides around our cars, pulls out our bushes, and goes up by our fence. We have a little half circle in front of the house and then a long path that goes up from the street way back to our fence on the opposite side, not in between the houses. Anyway, he's been doing this a couple of times per day while his parents are on the sidewalk watching him as he either runs or rides his bike super close to our cars. Our cars are used but newish and worth around $75,000 together. And our garage is so tiny we can't fit 1, let alone 2, so we park in our driveway and would rather not have a bike scraping against them.
Okay. Hold on. We can interject here as we go. I find it odd to specify the value of the cars in this scenario.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess they're kind of painting the picture for us, right?
That they're driving like Bugattis, like used but newish, $75K. If you got 2 used cars that are worth
together,
but even still, you got 2 cars that are used that are worth $37.5K each.
Yeah, man. In America, that checks out. Car market in America is nuts.
That's
these
wild.
Days. You're getting a freaking like Honda Pilot minivan for that much these days. Used is chaos out there. We're very lucky in the UK with car prices, especially compared to Europe. But yes, maybe we're talking like kind of 2-year-old, nice-ish cars. You know, like let's call them like maybe a couple of Lexuses or that kind of vibe, right?
Okay. So far, how are you feeling about this? I know you've read the rest of the post here, but so far my perspective is that like the kid probably shouldn't be on the drive, right? Like you can drive on the bike past the house, that's fine, but like driving like I don't think anybody here. I think the boy definitely shouldn't be on the drive, and the parents should be like, "Hey, don't drive next to the Audis, right? But and also definitely don't pull on their bushes. Like, that's definitely not the thing to do. But at the same time, like, if you're the person who's sat there, twitching your blinds, like peeping through the window, or not even that, sorry, they're using CCTV, right? They're checking on the footage to check and see that they're being on the drive. Like, I don't know, man. Find something better to do with your time.
So I'm with you. If I had a house, I would prefer it if, my land is not encroached on, right? I will say that when I was a child, I was told off for riding a bike close to front gardens, right? And not necessarily cars as much, but definitely front gardens.
I couldn't imagine as a kid riding a bike into somebody else's front garden.
Yeah, no, I would never. Yeah, I wouldn't usually ride it into front gardens. But I'd be close to them, and I think every now and then I'd get told off, and I would be strongly against the fact that I got told off. Right.
Yeah.
Now I am an older person who at some point might have a house with a front garden. I would prefer it if this was not the case. So I'm currently.
I do have a house with a front garden.
Mm-hmm.
My car is not worth 37.5 grand used. It wasn't worth 37.5 grand new when I bought it. Not even close. So, I would be annoyed if, kids were constantly... if I had neighbors, we do have neighbors. I've got neighbors and my neighbors have kids, right? If my neighbors' kids were just riding their bikes, on my grass, I would be a little annoyed. I'd be like, hey, come on now, don't... what we're doing here, right? If they were... If my car wasn't parked on the drive, if I'd gone away somewhere and the neighbor's kids were just kind of riding in circles, on the drive section of my drive, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, that's fine. As long as they moved out of the way when I came to pull in, right? As long as I didn't have to run them over in order to park my car, I'd be fine with it. I wouldn't care too much about them driving on, just the pavement, the path. Obviously, I understand that's not their concern here. Their concern here is that their, BMW X5 is going to get a dent in it and they're going to have to go pay 85 grand at the dealership to get a brand new one, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
But, okay, well, let's continue with the post, man.
So yes, we're both kind of leaning towards the side of the poster right now.
Yeah, I think so.
So yesterday evening, my husband pulled up after work and was on the phone walking into the garage when his kid comes out of seemingly nowhere on his bike. His kid here referring to the neighbor kid.
Yep.
Rides around my car a couple of times, super close because I'm parked next to our hedge, goes up near the garage, and then back down around my husband's truck. Okay, we're getting a bit more of an idea here that so we're talking about big trucks here. While his dad is just stopped on his bike on the sidewalk. So my husband comes in the house and shows me the video of what just happened and what's been happening over the past several days, and makes us nervous for several reasons, besides the potential damage to our cars. It seems very dangerous to allow a child that young to feel comfortable moving freely in someone else's driveway, and the liability if he got hurt on our property, even just from falling off his bike or something. So I think here, again, there's probably some slight nuances between the UK and the US.
Yeah.
I think if a child got, fell off his bike and, or got hit by a car on someone's drive, the initial responsibility / liability wouldn't go to the owner of the house. I wouldn't imagine it would go.
No, that's the thing. I occasionally the neighbors, again, I've got kids next door, they'll a ball will come over into our garden, right? They'll be playing or something and the ball will come over. And I've just told them straight up, if it comes over, you can just go and get it, right? You don't have to come and ask me.
Yes.
You can just walk around the side and get it. And occasionally there is danger in the back garden, right? It's not I have death traps set up to attack the children, but there might be an odd piece of wood or something, or a tile that could fall or whatever.
Yes.
But I'm not worried about getting sued, because if they got hurt, I assume that it would people don't sue each other for this kind of stuff for the most part in the UK, right? It's just not something that happens. So I'm never thinking about liability whenever I'm deciding
which is
how to interact with other people in general.
Which I'm quite thankful for in the UK, which is good. So continuing on. So my husband texted the neighbor, dad, and basically said he didn't want to say anything in front of the child, but we really don't feel comfortable with him in our driveway, and so to please keep him out. The dad texts back something along the lines of, our son is autistic and has his rituals. The former owners didn't mind and enjoyed seeing him in the driveway. The kid is super careful around the cars, and the parent is always, quote unquote, right there with him. Our thoughts are, number one, admittedly, we do not have experience with autism, but we do have some very strong-willed children who do want to do things that they shouldn't for safety and other reasons, so we as parents don't allow it. 2, we have no idea if the previous neighbours allowed it, where they parked their cars, or how often / when this child was on the property. Besides that, we are now the owners, and if we don't feel comfortable with the situation, shouldn't that be enough? 3, again, I don't have experience parenting in this particular child, but I know I wouldn't trust my 4-year-old or even my 7-year-old to ride that closely to our cars, and absolutely not anyone else's car. And finally, 4, the parents and / or grandparents who walk / ride with him are always on the sidewalk and have no direct line of sight when he's on the other side of each car. They are never within grabbing distance. So my husband responds that we understand it's a challenge, it's something we can do to assist, but still, please keep him out of the driveway. He responds, we'll do our best, you may see some meltdowns on your cameras, blah, 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 guilt trip. My husband says, appreciate it. So when he pulls up tonight after work, they are riding their bikes, but turn down the road when they see him. He goes back outside several minutes later to put the trash on the curb, and the little boy is looking is looking, it says booking it, but I assume that
I think booking it's right.
Oh, the boy is booking it through our driveway with his mum chasing him. She finally grabs him near my car and he fusses, so she carries him and stomps down our driveway, but turns to glare at my husband as she reaches the sidewalk. I get that they have their hands full and obviously they're upset that we said something. So is it wrong of us to keep our driveway off limits? Should we just get over the fact that we could be sued or our cars get damaged? Should we get more cameras? I really want to know who is the A.
I think that the idea of getting sued seems crazy. I don't think you're going to get sued, right? For what?
Right.
Like if the kid falls off his bike in your garden, I don't think it's like maybe people are paranoid, or maybe in the US that is something he's going to get sued for. But I don't think that seems unlikely to be the case. It seems more so like they're worried about the fact that they're 75 grand. You know, they've got 2 cars that they paid like 60 grand for each or something, you know, a year or 2 ago, and they're annoyed about those getting scratched, right? I don't know how old. There's an update at the top, which is interesting. I don't know how old their child is, but like, NTA, right?
I'm with NTA. I mean, I think the thing is like, if you own the house, you dictate the rules of your property. I understand the other side's point of view because they were used to having neighbors that let them on the driveway.
I think this matters not at all, right?
Unfortunately, it isn't an excuse, right? It's not a valid reason.
I don't think so. I think people are saying here in the chat, we are streaming this live, some people are saying like, feels a bit ESH, which is everybody sucks here. I disagree, you know, like, I don't think so. Like, it sucks if you have a child with autism who has like the, who enjoys doing the same things regularly, which I understand completely. But at the same time, I don't think you can kind of like project that onto other people, right? You can't make that somebody else's problem and be like, okay, well, I have to deal with it, so you have to deal with it, right? I feel like you've got to instill into your child habits that are sustainable, right? Like that's not something they can do forever. They can't just keep going onto other people's drives, right? And so I just don't think it's the right thing to do. You know what I mean? I think it's definitely an NTH.
I feel fortunately that the 2 people who own this house, who the wife of which has made the post, they have kind of been guilt tripped a little bit here, right? Mm-hmm. Into allowing their driveway / garden kind of to be given as free use to this child for, you know, certain special needs reasons.
Yeah.
But it unfortunately isn't their problem. If that makes sense?
That's
like,
what I'm saying,
shouldn't be their problem. Yeah,
like, that's the thing. I mean, like, someone in the Twitch chat says, not the arsehole, as somebody who with autism, as they get older, they don't understand boundaries, there would be no stopping them looking into Windows if all continued access. Exactly. Like, I think the dad did the right thing as well. Like, he didn't confront the parents in front of the kid. You know, he didn't shout at the kid. Like, he sent what sounds like, you know, again, it's always interesting when you get one side of the story. You know, we're not getting both sides of the story here. We're only getting it from this side. But it sounds like he sent a perfectly courteous text message being like, hey, could you not drive on our drive? Thank you.
Right. Yes. To
me, if you receive that, then okay, now you've got to change your behavior, right? You've got to, like, they've made it clear that despite what the previous owners think, that's no longer acceptable, and we got to move on, right? It's like if you knew the previous owners and they were happy with you going in their house to eat their food out of the fridge, right? Let's imagine me and you live next door to each other, Nick, and I'm like, Nick, you know, if you ever need to borrow my cheese, just come on straight in, let yourself in, here's a key, do what you want. And then I move out, you keep the key, and then new people move in, and you walk in the front door with your key that you've still got, and you go and take some of the cheese out of the fridge, and you're like, well, the last owner let me do it. Why won't you? You know, it's like that's not how it works.
Yeah,
right?
I think the key takeaway is in these kind of situations, it might not be best to allow the behavior to happen with the previous neighbors in the first place. Preempting of a situation where, like, if the neighbors change, you know, like the boundaries should be set from the beginning, right? So it would never be a problem in the first place, no matter if the neighbors move out or not. Right?
I think if they had this with the previous neighbors, I think the first thing that should have happened as soon as new neighbors arrive, you've got to, either as the parent, again, I don't know how old the child is, right? I don't know if the child's old enough to go and ask them themselves, but like, I feel like as soon as the property switches owners, it's then you've got to go and be like, hey, the old neighbors let us do this. Do you mind if my kid drives around on your drive? He's super careful, yada, yada. You know, even reassure them, maybe be like, hey, we'll pay for any car damages if he dents it. But like, you know, I feel like you can't just assume that carries over, right?
Seek permission, not forgiveness, right?
Which apparently is not the way to do it, man. Apparently not. The alpha way of doing it is
just do
ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Exactly, exactly.
What's the what do we have at the top here? We got
yes,
update.
there is a small update. Yes. Thank you all for the feedback and support, especially from those who are autistic, have autistic family members, and those who shared their personal stories of being affected by a child being killed in the driveway. The neighbors came by again tonight, but the dad stopped his son before he got to our driveway and told him he could run in their driveway. No fussing, right? So there seems to have been some kind of amicable solution that potentially might be arising here. I did see their therapy helper over today, so maybe she gave them some good advice about how to redirect his ritual. We'll remain vigilant. I'm hopeful this will end well for everyone. I'll update again if there's anything else to share. And the couple of folks who said we were the AHs, we will be selling our home in the next 12 to 18 months. You can buy it, and I'd be happy to tell the neighbors they have free range again, which is a fair comment, I think.
Yeah, I'm interested. What's the top comment here? Is there usually there's like a vote, I think, of some persuasion, like a verdict? But,
okay, I didn't realize there was one.
It might be
I looked through the comments.
It might be a different Reddit. Like maybe it's just the AITA. Sometimes there's like a flare, but
yes, the comments are wholly NTA from my perspective.
Yeah,
yes.
That makes sense. Yeah, NTA. Yeah, NTA.
I think we agree with NTA.
Yeah, yeah. I think so. Right. Again, it's kind of just it's one of those things where you can't make it other people's problems, right?
No.
I feel like you see this kind of stuff in other places. I've read a couple of these where sometimes it'll be like, you know, you see a lot that have like picky eaters where it's like, you know, I don't eat meat or dairy or fish or cheese or anything that has the color green in it. Am I AITA for shouting at this host who didn't know this ahead of time for not giving me the right food? And it's like, if you have that many dietary requirements, you've got to make your own accommodations, right? You can't kind of push that onto other people. Like at a certain point, it becomes unreasonable, right?
Yes, yes.
A small tweak is reasonable. Like if you're deadly allergic to peanuts, asking someone not to make peanuts is one thing. But if you voluntarily choose not to eat like anything that's not raisins, and you go out to someone and they haven't made you a raisin-based dish specifically, right? Like it's then at that point, you know, it's on you, right?
Exactly. So we are going bang NTA.
NTA. All right, Nick, I have one right here. This one says, using a restaurant restroom. It says, so today, ... I was out doing some errands. I have a squirrely tummy. Right out the bat, I hate when adults use the word tummy. There's no need. Like, I'm already against this person right from the get-go, Nick. Maybe irrationally, but it's just like, just call it your stomach. Or, you know, even the word belly I don't love, but like, tummy? Are you 9? Anyway. I have a squirrely tummy and I had prepared and went to the bathroom before I left, so I thought I was good for a few hours. Well, not so, because as I was in a store, I suddenly got the urge to go to the bathroom urgently. Now, I have a second problem I want to stop here at this point, Nick. Maybe they've got a much more squirrely tummy than I do, but like, I feel like you can somewhat feel it coming on, right? unless you've eaten something, for me at least, unless I've eaten something tremendously bad, it doesn't usually go from like 0 to 100 very quickly, right?
Yes. I guess it depends on the situation here, because after they'd left the house and ended up in the store, was this something that then suddenly picked right up?
Well,
over a short period of time? All
this person has said is that they went to the bathroom before they left the house, and then they've got to the store and they need to go to the bathroom urgently.
Okay.
Anyway, the store I was in didn't have a bathroom. Or did have a bathroom, but it was staff only. So I hightailed it out of there and went into the closest place I knew there was an easily accessible bathroom. It's a sushi shop in walking distance, and they have a back door where there's a bathroom, where the bathroom is accessible from. I eat at the sushi restaurant a couple of times a month. It's very good. Upon exiting the bathroom, brackets, I left it the way I found it, clean. I feel like you didn't need to specify that. That's how you should do it. And then said, and the back door. Yeah, upon exiting the bathroom and the back door, a waitress yells from across the restaurant that's full of people telling me the bathroom is for paying customers only. I say okay and apologize and continue to leave. She continues to berate me in front of all the customers. I was so embarrassed. What was I supposed to do? It was an emergency. Anyone who has a weird stomach, I hope, empathizes with me. The way the waitress addressed me didn't sit right. So 2 questions, AITA, and 2, what should I do now? I'm usually not the kind of person to ruminate? Ruminate?
I've never seen that word before.
To ruminate on something. I think I've heard it. Like, it means like mull over, I think. To ruminate on something. So dumb. But, ruminate on something so dumb. But it just isn't sitting right with me.
Okay, right.
Yeah, think about something deeply.
So, as someone with a quote-unquote squirrely stomach, there is like I do have sympathy for this person. However,
I've been in this situation, right?
Yes.
I've been in the situation where I need to go to the bathroom urgently. Usually for me, the way it like comes about is that like I will have just pulled into like a car park, right? So there'll be like a drive, maybe I've driven for like 40 minutes, and then I found parking, and then I leave the car park, and it's like I need to use the bathroom pretty quickly, right?
Yes.
And you got to find somewhere to go. Right.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, nowhere has public bathrooms. They just don't exist anymore. Right? Public bathrooms, not a thing. And so, I don't know. What are your initial thoughts here, man?
I am sympathetic to the poster. However, I would have gone into the restaurant and been like, I'm really, really sorry. I come here a couple times a month. I really need to go. Like, I really, really need to go to the toilet. I've got like stomach problems. Please go to the toilet. And then I think at that point, no matter what they say, I might go anyway if it's going to avoid catastrophe. I don't know. Like, there is a thing, actually, funnily enough, that in the UK, it's obviously people might not accept it, but you can get these like cards. I don't have one. But I know that they exist. You can get these like little kind of credit card size things that basically say that you have IBS or irritable bowel syndrome. And they're kind of designed so that you can show them to places with toilets that are usually reserved for paying customers. And you can be like, hi, please, I really need to go. Like, this is proof. Please, can I go? I do think, though, that going to a restaurant, not even like a bar or a pub where there's like traffic and you can like kind of get in and out. Like, this is like a sit-down restaurant from the sounds of it. Going via the back door and just going straight in is not the way I would approach that. I do think the waitress was persistent in her response.
My assumption here is that this is going to be like a small family-run place. That's obviously me kind of injecting my own headcanon a little bit, but I think the reason for that is that if it was like a chain restaurant, they probably would care less. And if it was a chain restaurant, the waitress probably wouldn't care that somebody used the restaurant, the toilet, right? Because they're not directly involved in the money-making aspect, right? So I assume that in this scenario, the person from behind the counter probably has some stake in the restaurant, would be my guess. I just don't, like, obviously I don't know the area they're in. I have done this. I'll just go to a fast food place, man. The amount of times I've dipped into a McDonald's and just used their bathroom.
Pubs for me. Yeah. Like a Spoons.
Exactly. But like going in through the back door to a small restaurant and using their bathroom, like, I think the chat is right a little bit here. Just buy something on the way out, buy a drink or something. Like, I don't know, just, you know.
Yes, I would. That is what I would do if it was a small place like that. I assume in the US, like the layout of this whole thing, like they might have been in like the equivalent of a retail park, and
sure.
you know they might have needed to, like, this was the only option they had. They couldn't, you know, pick a place with higher traffic because they were in the store, right?
Yeah.
And the store didn't have a bathroom. But I would buy a drink on the way out.
I think you are right though. That, like, I've seen it before where I've been in like certain places and I've seen people come in and just say, "Hey, can I use your bathroom?" And they're like, "Yeah, go for it." Right?
Yes.
Like, the people are usually quite fine with that, I think. Right?
Yes, I would quickly let them know. I understand. I can empathize with the urgency of the situation here. I would like go in and I'd be like, "Hi, I'm really sorry. I need to use your bathroom. I can't wait. Thank you in advance. See ya." and then I would probably buy like a little like aloe vera drink on the way out or whatever, right? If it's a sushi restaurant.
See, I don't know. Maybe I've got an arrogant, or like ignorant point of view is the word I was looking for there. I've needed to go to the bathroom pretty badly. I've never needed it like so badly that I can't like I don't know, that I would say emergency in all caps, you know? Maybe this person just has like I said, maybe has some like severe IBS or something. And
yes, I assume that's what they might refer to by squirrely tummy. They might mean, you know, some form of IBS. I've every time I've had that level of urgency, it's not frequent, but it is urgent. But I've either been at home or within running distance of home, where I have then legged it home and then gone. Again, slight nuance difference here in that this person is driven somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I have had a friend who really needed the toilet once, who went into a Starbucks.
Yeah.
And they were like, "No, you can't." And she said, I will wet myself if you do not let me use the toilet.
I can't imagine saying
and they
no,
they ended up having to, like, they ended up letting her, right?
Yeah.
She was like, "I will literally wet myself right now if you don't." And I was like, fair enough.
You got to clean it up.
Yeah, right. So I can empathize.
Yeah,
I would have asked first.
But also, like, I don't think. Yeah, I would say ask first. I don't think the waitress is necessarily in the wrong. I think, you know, saying, "Hey, it's for customers only." If it is for customers only, that's how it is, right? She's like, "I was so embarrassed." Like, that's just kind of how it is, I guess, right? Like, you know, if you're gonna barge in and just use that toilet unannounced, like, you might get a bit embarrassed, you know? Like,
yeah. I'm going ESH here, because I think that there are multiple people in the wrong. I think the poster was potentially in the wrong for not asking, but I can empathize with their situation. I think the waitress shouldn't have continued to berate the customer. However, obviously, it was not allowed, and thus it was right for the waitress had the right to say to the customer that it was for paying customers only. So I'm going ESH.
I'm going to go with like a mild YTA, like very mild YTA.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think the waitress did anything wrong. Like, you know, if you break the rules of the store, you're gonna get berated a little bit. You know what I mean? They probably have a sign up that's like, "Hey, the toilets are paying customers only." You know, I see them all over the place. I imagine that's probably the situation, and so the waitress is like, "Hey," you know, she's probably dealing with this stuff all the time, right? I imagine the trouble is, like, so from the waitress's point of view, I imagine a lot of people will probably come in, use the toilet, leave, and just leave a mess, like a horrible mess.
Yes.
She's probably the person who has to clean that bathroom, right? Yeah. And even though she probably doesn't know that this person in particular has left it clean, right?
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that most of the time this waitress is going back there and it's just, thankfully, I've never worked in a job where I've had to clean a public bathroom, Nick. But I've heard from people who have that it is never fun. It's never a nice scenario. Yeah. And so I imagine that in her mind, maybe she's just cleaned it, Nick. Maybe she's just been in there, cleaned the bathroom. It was a complete mess. And then she's come out, and then this other person just comes running in, doesn't even buy anything, just goes straight to the bathroom, you know. Maybe she can hear it from the outside, you know, she can hear the explosive nature of what's going on.
The velocity.
And then she comes out, and she is pissed. She's like, "I'm going to have to go clean this up. This piece of trash doesn't even have..." So, I don't know. I'm making up my own story at this point. But anyway, I think it's a mild YTA. I think you shouldn't do this. But...
Okay. I'm going... moderate ESH Moderate ESH. But I think the poster should have explained more post visit.
The sushi poop and run is generally frowned upon. Yeah. Exactly, right? Like, buy something. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I empathize. Those with the condition don't necessarily understand how urgent it is. Maybe that's me. Yeah, maybe I just don't understand the situation. But like, if that's the situation, like if it's that bad that you can just like at a moment, I feel like you should just carry some kind of medication with you, right?
Yes, yes. Useful only after the fact, though. I will say.
I don't know. Like if it's a regular problem, like if you're regularly having to go out, like and use bathrooms like this unannounced, I would just say kind of preemptively take some medication. I don't know. Maybe there is. Again, I'm not familiar with the scenario of what medication exists there. NTO. Next time, make sure this one person's telling it to stiff the waitress a tip next time you go, which seems a bit rude. It's courtesy to buy a small item as a thank you. Yeah,
yes, I would do that. That's what I would do. I would buy something afterwards.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
Here we go. So we've got differing verdicts.
Slightly differing views, yeah.
Differing views.
But we have another one from you here, Nick.
Here we go. So AITA for indirectly telling my coworker, unlike him, I have a life.
Doesn't sound good, does it?
This happened like 10 days ago. I'm a new employee in my office. My work starts at 10 a.m. and ends at 6 p.m. I always start packing things up when the clock hits 6. I know there are some employees who work till 7 p.m., but it's their choice. I'm the first one to leave work. Most of them are still working while I leave. Yes, I do feel a bit guilty about it, so today my colleague asked me to stay. I told him it's already 6 and my shift has ended. I want to go home. He said, why do I always leave first, and lectured me that I do not have a work ethic. I should stay loyal to my company and work more so that people will take me seriously. I did point out that I leave on time. I'm never late for work, and I always finish it by 6 p.m., which is the official closing time. I am not legally bound to work beyond that. And he said it's not a good impression if you leave early regardless of closing time. He called me unprofessional and even made some sexist comments such as, women do not know how hard it is in corporate, they have no work ethic. And since he was a bit older, he was like, nobody in your generation is loyal to their work these days. I replied, well, I'm sorry that some people hate their home so much that they would rather rot in their cubicles than go home. Unlike some, I have a life outside work. He was pissed at me. He went around telling people that the new hire has Gen Z entitlement. This poster is 25. I know that I was a bit harsh, but was I wrong? It seems a bit stupid to stay beyond 6 p.m. unless there is some work emergency, and the career in question is a junior web developer in a software firm.
So you Isaac. And I fall perfectly on this, right? Because I think you and I together, we might average to 25. So
yes.
So we are 25, Nick. I think I don't know, we might have this Gen Z entitlement between us. This is an interesting one.
It is.
I've read a lot of posts like this where people are like, my boss expects me to arrive 50 minutes early to set things up even though I'm not paid for that, or my boss expects me to say 30 minutes late or whatever. My general thought process, Nick, is that you should arrive when you are meant to arrive and leave when you're meant to leave, right? However, I think it really depends on how on how this is set up. If this person is salaried, I think it's a little different than if they're paid by the hour, right? If you're paid hourly for your work here and you're paid from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., then as soon as 6 p.m. hits, you got to pay me more if you want another hour of work, right? However, like, I think if you're salaried, I think that kind of creates a different situation. But I don't know, man. You have more experience with this than I do.
Okay, so I've worked a corporate job and I was salaried, yes. Right? And in your contract, there is a hours per week set that you are salaried for, yep. Right? So for me, it was 37 hours per week, right? And you were obviously expected to do 9 till 5 / 9 till 5:30. However, you could kind of, not to an extreme, but you could tweak that within your week as how you wanted. And at the end of every week, you would fill in a timesheet of your hours worked each day, and that would have had to amount to your contracted hours, right?
See, this is interesting though, because I feel like there are a lot of places where this is not the case, right? Where it's kind of like, I think there's like 3 tiers. There's like work where you are paid by the hour, right? And those are usually kind of mostly minimum wage jobs. And then there's kind of office work where you're sometimes paid by the hour. And then there's like kind of this tier that you're at where it sounds like you're salaried, but they expect you to work the number of hours anyway. And then I feel like a lot of the times it's also just you're salaried and it's just kind of get the work done. Do you know what I mean? Like you're expected to be in at a certain time, but there's not contracted minimums.
So I've found in every job that I've ever applied for, that anyone I know's ever done, there is always an hour number.
Really?
Yes. Somewhere between 37 and 42.5
I guess for me, this one in particular, I think it also really depends on how much they're being paid.
Yeah, no, of course. So let me, I will speak more on my experience of this. So I've worked at a company, corporate job. They were fantastic. They were really good because the company culture, and this is the 2 key words, right? Company culture, did not expect you to do significant overtime unless absolutely required under, any specific project, right? Yep. Now, there are people I know who have the same setup where they have a salary job with contracted hours. However, it is the company culture to stay beyond, to turn up before 9, so before the quote unquote day starts, and to stay an hour and a half to 2 hours after the day ends, thus ending up working way over your contracted quote unquote hours on lower salaries, right?
See, that's the thing that gets me, right? Like, if you are being paid like close to minimum wage, if not minimum wage, for a salaried like 40 hours, even if it's salaried, right? I don't know if this, I assume this person's not in the UK, but if they're in the UK, right? And if you were in that situation and you were making like, I don't know, 25K a year, right? And they're expecting you to work from 7 till 8, like a 13-hour day or something. I would say that's ridiculous, right? I would be the person getting up and leaving at 6 p.m. and being like, hey, up my contract hours if you want me to stay longer, right? But then like on the opposite end of the spectrum, like if you're Tim Cook and you are like, no, I'm going home at 6, and they're like, hey, we've got a new product launch tomorrow, Tim, you can't go home yet. And he's like, well, better pay me more then. Like at that point, it's like, Tim, we're paying you millions a year. Like, come on, buddy, just get the job done, right? Like, I think it depends on the amount of money being paid, right? And I think that's generally the case here. I think people who are paid well are usually quite willing to turn up early, stay late, put the work in, because they feel like they're being, if they need to, that is, because they feel like they're getting paid well for their work that they're doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, no, I think NTA.
Oh, no, definitely. Like, so this
NTA,
person is definitely NTA,
right? 100%. NTA, right? Yeah. Because you shouldn't be expected to work past a certain time unless you're getting overtime payment, right? If you get an overtime payment,
there's so much stuff that we don't know here, Nick. I'm sorry to interrupt.
There is a lot we don't know.
My default assumption is that this older man is TA, right? Is YTA?
Yes, yeah.
The reason I think that is because it's like, why do you care? But it's quite possible that the junior web developer was leaving earlier, and this older dude has to pick up the slack, right? Like if they've got a deadline on the project, if he's feeling like he has to stay, like maybe everybody normally leaves at 6:30, but he needs to feel like he needs to stay till 7 to do the extra half an hour of work that this junior web developer isn't doing, right? And then the junior web developer's like, hey, I'm paid to leave at 6, I'm going to leave at 6. Like obviously at that point, it's the company's problem, not
it's a management issue.
It is a management issue.
Yes.
But like, it's never the case, right, that it's management that get blamed for it. It's always going to be the people, you know what I mean? Blame gets pushed down, right, to the lower levels, right? And I could see this guy being like, the junior web guy's not going to be blamed because he's new, right? The person that's going to get blamed if this project doesn't get done on time is me, the older guy who's been here and knows what needs to get done. And like, so I can, yeah.
I will say yes. No, I am strong NTA. There is a word, and it is the definition of it. I hate this. It's called presenteeism, right? Mm-hmm. Where you're expected to stay in the office just because that's what everyone does. Yeah. Even though you finished what you need to do.
You've got nothing to do, yeah. That's crazy.
I absolutely loathe presenteeism. I know that it's very prevalent in the finance sector, real estate sector, of which I know people in. And I cannot vibe with that. I'm like, absolutely not. And if that's the situation that this person is in, then doubly good on them for getting out of there.
Yeah, like
right?
if they're not doing anything, like if they're sitting there if they've got nothing to do at 6 o'clock, like, and by nothing to do, I mean like, obviously I'm sure there's always stuff they can do, right? But but no, I think we're generally on the same page here, man. I think that
absolutely.
I think the company might be the AH here,
the problem here. So we're going kaboom NTA.
Yeah, NTA asterisk. If this guy's making 125K a year, YTA.
Yeah, then yes, then problematic.
If this guy at 25 is being paid beyond what he should be being paid, that should be obviously subjective, but like if he's being paid a lot, maybe YTA.
Yeah,
that's my stance. I think people are going to argue on that. People are probably going to say that anybody should, no matter what you're being paid, it should be, contracted, like, and you should be, there should be hard lines, but
yeah.
But I don't know, man. I don't know. For me, but I agree. NTA on this
NTA.
one. What are people saying about this? Yeah, NTA. Reddit is very anti-work, so I think it's always going to be
my Lord.
Always going to be NTA on this one. All right. AITH, forgiving my BF, that's boyfriend is the slang there, Nick, that people use, a hard time about his cooking. And so it says, my partner, 28M, and I, 31F, were hanging out with my younger sibling, 27F, when the topic of cooking came up. My partner mentioned that he wanted to contribute by attempting to cook more, as I primarily prepare the meals, and we take turns buying takeout. But I'll try to save money. He mentioned that I was picky with food when I interjected to say that a couple of days ago he added salt to a frozen pizza, and that I wasn't being picky, but he added salt to something already overwhelmingly salty. This had previously come up because I've seen him add salt to other extremely salty things, like a can of ravioli or soup. At this point, my siblings started trying to offer some basic cooking tips, like checking for salt before adding it to pre-made items, and suggesting that they could cook a meal together sometimes. After this conversation, we went and hung out with a large group for several hours, and when we came back, my partner brought it up again. He was upset about us mansplaining cooking, particularly focusing on my sibling, but I feel like my sibling was genuinely trying to help by offering friendly and helpful advice. I noticed a bit of a pattern. My partner has a tendency to take any sort of feedback as a personal attack. He quickly feels ganged up on yada, yada, yada. And it continues on down here. It's hard for me to tiptoe around fairly innocuous statements about salt intake. It all seems like small things to bicker over, but I find that recently my partner and I are getting caught up over the minor daily conveniences, and it's been exhausting. This is wild.
Right.
Question one, man. Have you ever put salt onto a pizza that was brought to you?
I have never put salt on a pizza that was brought to me. I've maybe drizzled a bit of like chili oil on there before, but I've never added salt onto a pizza.
What about canned soup? You added salt to canned soup?
I have never added salt to canned soup or baked beans or anything like that.
There's kind of like a side tangent here, Nick. And that is that, like, I personally, and some people are going to be, sort of feel differently about this, I should say, is what they're going to do. I assume that things are seasoned when they arrive, right?
I also assume this.
But even if then, I never season. I almost never, about like 99.9% of the time, never season my food after the fact, right? What about you, man? Like, do you ever like at my table? I don't have salt and pepper on the table ready to post salt anything that arrives, like anything that I make, right?
I am the same. No, I don't put salt and pepper at the table.
If I went to somebody else's house and they made me food, I would consider it to be a little rude if I was like, "Hey, can you bring me some salt?"
Yes.
Right?
I would, if I thought that it was the blandest and most unseasoned thing ever, I would just push through it, right?
Exactly.
And I'd just be like, all right, I'll eat it. I'll just eat it.
Maybe we're too,
too soft, right?
Maybe. But like, if somebody went to the effort of making me food, unless it was actually like raw, like, and I thought unsafe to eat, I would just eat it.
Yeah.
You just eat the food and then don't go back.
If they said, how is it? I would be like, it's good. Just maybe like do with a little bit more salt next time. But overall, very good. That's how
someone in the Twitch chat said even if they had some salt on the table, I wouldn't salt it.
Yeah, I've never been in the situation, apart from in a restaurant, where food has been bland and there has been salt at the table, and I've just done it because I'm at a restaurant. So.
This is probably just my scenario, but I also don't use the salt shakers at restaurants either, right? Like
I rarely ever do.
Exactly. I feel like most of the time,
pasta usually, and it's not been seasoned properly, but that's rare.
I feel like most of the time they even if they salted their own at the table and I tried it and it wasn't salty enough, then at that point, yes, I would probably go ahead and maybe salt it. Right?
Yeah, but you kind of play the room a little bit, aren't you?
Exactly. But if they didn't salt it, then I wouldn't. But yeah, no, I don't know. I've never been one to like from my point of view, good food doesn't need seasoning after the fact, right?
Correct.
I think if food is made well, it's seasoned at the point of being made, and then it's served to you and it's good, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I would never eat something and then bring it up without provocation.
Yeah.
Now, if it was my partner doing it, I probably would. In fact, I will say that last week I made like chicken pittas, and I bought Nando's sauce, right? Like a coat and cook sauce. So you coat the chicken in it, you put it in the oven, sorted, and then you make whatever you need to make with it. So I bought that, I made the chicken. I assumed that the sauce was salted, right? It was like you just need to use the sauce.
You'd assume so, yeah.
You'd assume so. It's like a cook, just add sauce and cook and done. So I cooked the sauce, did that, put them in the pittas, ate them. Chicken was a bit bland, right?
Yeah.
And my partner said, it's bland, right? And I was like, oh,
see, I think this is different though, right? Like, I think this is slightly different in the fact that you're not going to take offense there because you have used a pre-made sauce, right?
Yes.
This would be like,
I guess that's true.
This would be like me making, like if you and I go to the store and I'm like, oh, we should try this frozen pizza, and I pick up the frozen pizza and I go home and I put it in the oven and then we try it and you're like, yeah, it's kind of bad. I wouldn't be like, how dare you? Do you know that I cooked that for you? Like, at that point I wouldn't be right. But if you had made like a Nando's style sauce yourself, like if you'd been there mashing potatoes and you'd been chopping peppers or whatever, and you'd been putting little bits of cumin and seasoning it just to perfection, right, adding the salt and pepper, and then it came out, at that point, I think your girlfriend at that point probably would have been, even if she thought it was bland, she might have been a bit more gentle about the scenario.
Yeah, probably.
I do still agree that if it's my partner, I will make it known.
Yes, right? yes.
You've got to live with this person forever. They need to know that it's not salty enough.
She was like, now, the reason I felt like I had failed is because I was considering seasoning the chicken with salt and pepper before I used the sauce, and I had the conversation in my own head and decided not to do that and just use the sauce. And it was then when she was like, this is not salty, like this has got no salt in it. Yeah, I was like, damn it, should have bloody salted the chicken.
Someone in the Twitch chat says everyone has different tastes. It's expected to add salt and pepper to your food to taste, at least in most households I've been in. No issue with adding salt to your soup, common, or pizza, but that is, see, I've never seen anyone add salt to pizza. That is crazy.
No,
adding salt to soup, I think, is fine. Usually, if it's like a homemade soup, I feel like, again, this could be a difference in culture, but like canned soups are already quite salty. Like, like they're made to be eaten. And honestly, like, I assume people do have different tastes, but I feel like for the most part, the salt level is somewhat ubiquitous, right? It's. Are you guys buying like a cheeseburger from McDonald's and like opening it up and putting a little bit of salt in there to get it up to your salt level? Like, I don't think so, right? Like, and they don't offer like a low salt version that you can then. So I don't know. I don't know about that one. Like, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I wouldn't say in general. If this was just like, if we changed the scenario here and the scenario was, hey, I made some soup and my boyfriend put salt in it. Is he the arsehole? I'd be like, no, of course not, right? Like your soup is not salty enough. But if this guy's putting salt onto frozen pizza, that's probably too much salt.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, yeah, and like on the soup aspect, like whenever my mother makes soup, she's like, put salt and pepper in it. Like this is to have salt and pepper put in it. So yes, So what do you think here, Isaac?
I don't think. NTA, like to the question is, am I the arsehole for giving my boyfriend a hard time about his cooking? I think the answer is NTA.
Yeah.
Because I don't think she's really giving him a hard time. She's kind of just said, hey, you put too much salt on stuff, right? And, that's... And that's how it is, right? Like, you know, she doesn't want to eat this overly salty food, right?
Yes.
And it sounds like whenever she tries to bring it up, he gets defensive, being like...
defensive. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't really do it, right?
I think I'm with you. I think NTA, if he loves the salt, he should just salt his food separately, right? That's the play. Because you can add, but you can't take away, right? Like,
it also depends on how much salt this person's eating, because then at that point, there is like a genuine concern on the part of the girlfriend here that like my boyfriend's gonna die.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like this is dangerous amounts of salt.
I think the recommended daily intake is like 6 grams a day of sodium or something in the UK is the recommendation, or 6 grams of salt. It's one of the two. I can't remember if sodium is more. I think sodium is like stronger. I think it's 6 grams of salt, not sodium. Anyway,
I see.
The RDA is like 6%, right? And so if my partner was eating like 12 grams a day of salt, I'd be like, hey, you're going to get hypertension and die. We need to eat less salt, right?
Shrivel into a raisin,
exactly, right?
The water will leave you.
Yeah, it's one of those like kind of more silent killers, right? Like obviously if they're overeating in a sense that they're eating like too many calories in a day, I think people wouldn't bat an eyelid if you tried to bring that up, right? They'd be like, you'd be like, yeah, okay, you know, you need to talk about it. But like stuff like salt, it doesn't have like a quick physical effect that you can notice. It's like a slow killer, right? That gets you eventually.
That's it.
So it really depends on how much salt this dude is eating. If he's adding salt to a frozen pizza, that's probably too much.
That's probably quite bad.
I mean?
Yeah, no, that's probably quite bad. I will say, and canned things as well. So we're going NTA.
Yeah. Again, chat is right. Like obviously, it's a one-sided story, right? That we get it from the side of the person is giving the story from. It could be quite the situation that this was maybe the world's most bland frozen pizza.
Maybe
it had no salt in it at all. You know.
I mean, it depends where this is. If this was in America, I'm sure that pizza had plenty of salt in it.
Right. NTA. Oh, there's only one comment on this, man.
Oh, right. Okay.
I found a diamond in the rough.
You have.
NTA, contrary to the title, neither of you nor your sibling get... Yeah, again, I don't think it was given a hard time. It was just kind of salt addiction. It was just kind of like...
I love that. Your boyfriend needs to stop getting salty because everyone has to start somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it's an NTA from the poster, from what we've read. And I kind of just don't think there's a problem here, right? Like, you're right. Just make less salty food and then add more salt to your portion if that's what you want, right?
Exactly.
But I think we're on the same page here, man. I think NTA firmly.
NTA.
This next one of yours seems interesting, man. I'm intrigued as to what we're gonna get here.
So this one is
sorry, this is the wrong one.
Oh.
This is the no life one.
The previous one. Let me link the correct one if I have done that. Here you go.
It looks like it should be the right one, but it doesn't. Yeah, I'm copying the same link that you are.
Not go to the right place?
Oh, no, there we go. I got it. There we go.
Oh, nice. Okay, perfect. Okay, AITA. For not paying for a meal I didn't eat. Last Sunday, I, 25 males, so again, averaging out of our age, was supposed to have a party with my friend group and our partners. We would just be playing some games, have some drinks, and get a family-sized Chinese takeout menu. This was all discussed beforehand. Part of this discussion was that I would be bringing my girlfriend of 2 months, so fairly recent, who has a peanut allergy. I brought up her peanut allergy multiple times because my friends like to prank each other by putting nuts in each other's beers when they aren't looking, and I don't really want that to happen to my GF, even on accident, for obvious reasons. Okay, I've seen, first pause, I've seen people throw things into people's beers at pubs, but nuts is something I have never seen. I've never seen people put food in other people's beers.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's an odd one.
Very odd.
I also wouldn't be happy if people put things in my drinks. Don't do that.
Yeah,
Leave my drink alone. Thank you.
Salt my drinks.
I can salt my own beer, okay?
Of the previous post, right? Salting his beer.
Yeah, maybe. MSG in there.
Right. I'm absolutely disgusted by peanut butter to the point where the smell makes me gag. My friends thought that it was a funny idea to get Reese's peanut butter cups, put them on a nice plate, and say they are filled with chocolate cream, and watch me almost throw up when I bit in one. I was quite angry because if my GF ate hers before I did mine, she would have gone into anaphylactic shock. I asked her if anyone had told her not to eat them or tried to stop her grabbing one, but it wasn't the case. She didn't feel safe there anymore, and I was pissed because it made I made it very obvious, that she had a peanut allergy, and we already had a discussion in the past about tampering with food and drinks, e.g. putting vodka in my cola. I never drink and was the designated driver. These friends, we'll come on to the comments in a minute. These friends are not very good friends, shall we say. So the poster explained why they were leaving and said their goodbyes, and they continued the party without us and ordered the Chinese takeout. However, the next day, I got a message saying that I still had to pay my share of the bill for the Chinese. I refused because we didn't end up attending the party and eating the Chinese, and they ordered after we left. My friends still insist I pay for the Chinese because that's what we discussed beforehand. I told them they should have ordered less since they knew we weren't eating because we left several hours before, and they just have to figure it out themselves and split the remaining amount evenly, or have the person who pulled the prank pay for these people's share. They say that I'm an AH and I'm taking revenge because I'm still angry, but I feel like it's just fair because they had 2+ hours to figure out an alternative or discuss the new bill, and that was their own fault for having us leave. So, AITA.
I mean, this is the easiest NTA I've ever seen in my life. I could not imagine
the audacity
having people over. They leave before you even ordered the food, and then you choose to order food and then try and claw back some money for it after the fact. That's madness. I saw a post the other day on Reddit. There's like r/texts as well, which is a wild subreddit.
Oh my!
I saw a text there where this girl had posted a thread because they'd gone out on a date with this dude. They'd gone to get drinks. She'd spent like $25. He'd spent like $75. He drank way more. And then at the end of the night, she offers to split the bill. He says no. The next day, he texts her and is like, "Hey, I think actually I will take you up on that offer because I want you to. I'm going out to a game today and I need some money." And she's "Yikes! Nope, that offer expired when we left the bar."
That's
Could you imagine trying to claw it back after the fact?
Oh my lord! That's quite funny. I mean, I'm not going to lie, man. If I was the host / at the party, even if people had come, we didn't prank them. We had maybe even ordered the food, and then they left. I probably still wouldn't expect them to pay because I will have loads of leftovers that I will then eat afterwards, / that people can take away.
Depends on the scenario,
It is a bit tricky because we don't know how much food has been ordered. We don't know if it's like everyone decides what they personally want.
That's what I was going to say.
And then ordered, right? Yeah. Or if it was a group, because Chinese takeout tends to be, let's get this, and this, and then we'll all share it, right? So it does probably depend on that. But there are multiple things that have happened here that doesn't warrant that way before we even get to that point, right? Such as feeding someone peanut butter where it makes them feel sick, and also, potentially not stopping someone eating peanut butter who has a peanut allergy, right?
Yeah, I'm with you here. Obviously, if we'd ordered some pizzas or something and they were to share and they left and they didn't eat any, fine. Obviously, if we've been like, "Hey, we're going to order food, do you want something?" and they'd given me a list of what they wanted, and then they'd left before it arrived, I would still expect them to pay for it, right? Because at that point, they've specifically requested something and just left before it turned up, right? But in this scenario, my assumption, if I'm being, because it's kind of vague about it. It says, "Get a family-sized Chinese takeout menu," right? I assume what they've done is they've agreed on oftentimes seemingly with Chinese restaurants and no others, they'll have a set menu for 1, set menu for 2, set menu for 3, set menu for 4, set menu for 5, set menu for 6, right? And so they'll have a couple of set menus. I assume what they've done is that they've gone and they've picked they've been like, "Hey, come over, we'll order the family set menu and we'll share it between the however many of us there are," right? And so they've agreed ahead of time to order this family set menu, assuming there were going to be enough people. And then when it comes to order it, even though they've left, they've just ordered the family set meal anyway that has been pre-agreed upon. And then they've been like, "Hey, we all thought we were going to be paying $10 each, and now it's going to cost us whatever, $12, $50 or whatever, because you've not paid your share."
So there's something in the notes after the main body of the post. So apparently One of the people at the party didn't change what they ordered deliberately so that they wouldn't have to look through the menu again and so that she wouldn't have to cook the next day. So a conscious decision was made to go ahead with the order.
Right. I mean, in that case, I think already we were leaning towards, not even leaning towards.
This is even more NTA, right?
In the NTA category, right? So I think, and the whole peanut thing is just crazy, right?
Yeah, that's terrible. Like, that's really bad.
Right.
Allergies are not, they're not something to mess around with, right? So,
right.
Yeah, strict NTA.
Yeah, easy.
NTA.
Also, just don't put stuff in people's drinks, man.
Right.
About it. Okay. And then I have one here, which for whatever reason is not linking in the Discord, in the Google Doc, but that's fine. I can post it here if it works. AITA for putting pizza in the microwave is the title here. I'll try to sum this up pretty quickly with established facts. 1. I come from a family that eats as soon as you start sitting down. So if they're in a line for food, like at a buffet, as soon as you get your plate and you start eating. I assume they mean as soon as you sit down, not like, you pick up the food and you're already eating it while you stood there at the buffet counter. No one gets offended. That way, you aren't eating cold food while waiting for somebody else who is lollygagging around. Not that we do. Wife's family is completely opposite. No one eats until everyone sits down, regardless of how long it takes. I'm okay with that in principle and have followed that rule. 3, wife's sister, married with 1 kid, who is late to everything. Not exaggerating, every party, holiday, gathering, etc. She is late. I hate these people with a burning passion. But we'll get to that. To the point where they have been known to tell the sister the party starts earlier than it really does just to get her to show up on time. Doesn't really work. She is still late. Several times, the meal we are getting gets cold and everyone sits down and waits for the sister to get her stuff together and join the rest of the family at the table. This annoys me as I don't like to eat cold food that should be hot. No one wants cold mashed potatoes. Last week was pizza for dinner, and we were sat there for 11 minutes. I kept track. Well, her sister showed up late again, took her sweet time getting to the table, couldn't care less that we were waiting for her. After she finally sits down, I got up and put my 3 pieces in the microwave to reheat what was now called pizza. Her sister told me I was being rude. I had enough at that point and said, maybe, or making everybody else wait to eat food that's now cold is really what's rude. On the way home, my wife told me I overreacted. Wife knows very well how long this has been a thing and how annoyed I am by it. My point always was she needs to show some courtesy for other people. AITH for microwaving pizza.
Ooh.
First things first, man.
Yeah, there's a few things to break down here.
The whole waiting for everyone to get their food before eating. Do you follow this custom or no?
Family don't do it. Friends do it. Usually if someone's food this is usually at a restaurant, right? If we're eating like together at home, we will, if someone's like made a meal when we're sitting at the table, everyone waits, right? Because usually there won't be much of a delay.
I mean, usually in that scenario, you're all eating the same food, right?
Exactly.
There's usually not a delay, right? Yeah, sure.
Exactly. Absolutely. At a restaurant, if someone's waiting, they will usually say, and I would usually say if it's mine that's arrived late, please start, for the love of God, eat your damn food. But until that point, everyone waits.
Yeah. See, I'm definitely in this top camp where like I don't really see the point in waiting for food. Usually it's not a problem. Usually you go somewhere and there's not like a massive delay between people's dishes, right? Like I very rarely had the circumstance where I've had to wait like a good amount of time between my food and somebody else's food, or even the opposite where my food arrives early and whatnot. But like I kind of don't get the point. Like I think people should just eat the food that's in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't mind. Like if people start eating, like I could not care less. It was how I grew up.
Yes.
Right? It was actually only when I went to university that I even realized that waiting is a thing.
Yeah, sure.
Was like a custom. But then I'm quite glad that I learned it then, because later on at more formal kinds of situations, like when food has been arriving, I knew about that and thus I waited. And then people would, like every now and then people are like, oh, like, that's really nice that you do that, right? And I haven't appeared to come off by rude by just starting to eat.
I think it really depends. Like, if you've ordered a salad, I'll wait forever. But like, if I've ordered like soup, I'm not waiting. I'm not letting this cold soup. I don't want to eat cold soup. You know what I mean? Or like, soup's not a bad idea because soup kind of gets it takes a while to get cold. But like something like mash is a good point.
A good one though. Pizza's a good one.
It is,
pizza can get cold quickly.
And also pizza is
pretty nasty.
Pizza is fantastic. The hotter it is, the hotter the pizza is, the better it is. That's why people burn their mouths on pizza, because pizza tastes so good when it's like scalding hot, like right out of the oven. Delicious. Anyway, second thought, man. I am a very punctual person. I hate being late. Right? I am the kind of person, if you say we're going to be somewhere for 7 o'clock, I will be there at 6:50, ready to be there.
Okay,
right?
you're early.
Not like, yes, early. Of course, especially if it's somewhere I've not been to before. Like I want to budget so much extra time. I want big buffers of time at all stages, right? So I'll be like, okay, Google Maps says it's going to take 40 minutes to drive. We're going to budget 50 minutes to drive, right? Then it's going to take us 5 minutes to park. No, we're going to budget 7 minutes to park. I over buffer all of my time, right? And there are some people in life who just don't do this. And like, not even don't do this, they have a flagrant disregard for other people's time, Nick. And I have zero time in my life for these people, right? I would have eaten this pizza. Very much so.
You would have eaten it. You wouldn't have waited and then microwaved it. You would have straight up eaten it.
If this was a regular thing, if she's always late, I would just be eating, yeah.
Yes, I think that I would have expected, if this person is always late, for the family to just say, yeah, she's late, let's just get started, right?
Yeah, 100%.
It's quite awkward in that.
And then if she complained, they'd be like,
let's still wait.
Don't be late.
Yeah.
We made pizza.
It depends for me. Like if I'm meeting one person, I tend to arrive bang on time, right? Like I will arrive like if it's 7, the clock's ticking 7, I'm walking in. If it's one group of friends that I know, 7 usually means 8. So I'll turn up at like 7:30, and some of them still won't be there.
Yeah.
There's another group of friends where it's bang on again, and we will all arrive bang on.
It depends on fun. Obviously, it depends on the person, but like, I'm thinking of like, I've made restaurant bookings right before where it's like, hey, we booked a table for 9. I want to be there, like at the very latest, like 5 to 9. Right?
Yeah.
Because usually you've got a queue still. You've got to be there. You know what I mean? They've got leeway. They'll give you like 15 minutes after 9. But I want to be there for 9, right? And sometimes I'll be with people and I'll be like, we need to leave. And they won't even be ready. Shoes aren't on, you know. Then they're still dilly-dallying around doing whatever it is they do. And then we turn up at like 10 past 9, and then there's a queue. So then now I'm a little annoyed because like the restaurant's busy. I'm queuing in this queue because like, you can't just jump to the front and be like, hey, we got a booking, right? You still got a queue for the person. And it's like they've said they'll hold the table 15 minutes, but I don't know if this queue's gonna be 5 minutes. And now I'm stressing about the fact that I might not get this table. And I'm just like, this could have all been avoided. We didn't have to do this, right?
Yes, I have had that before. I have gone to quite a few years ago now. I went to a bar.
Yeah.
And the person I was with turned up late. Wasn't in their hands, so kind of fair enough. But because we were in a queue, by the time we got to the front, we were like 1 minute out of the 15-minute window. The guy was like, nah, sorry.
Yeah.
Done. And we got turned away and we had to leave. I was like, okay, fine. Like, okay,
That's what
cool.
I'm saying. I don't want to be in that situation. But just I don't get it. You are in control as a person of your own destiny. It is very much so, almost always possible to be on time. Right?
Yes. If I'm going to be late for whatever reason, traffic, etc., whatever it may be, I will always say. Yeah, I will tell the people. Yeah. I will tell the people I'm going to be late. I'm going to be there at this time. Start without me, order without me, whatever. That's what I usually say if I'm going to like a food place. I'll be like, order without me, start without me. Go ahead. I'll turn up when I turn up and I'll sort myself out. I think that's the best practice.
Yeah.
So basically, NTA sister is the TA.
For sure.
Is TA.
The teaching assistant. Yes. Yeah. No, for sure.
Yes, exactly.
100%. No, definitely. If somebody is regularly late, I would not be. Obviously, this is a family situation. You can't just like stop seeing them. You can't be like, you're not invited. Yeah, but like I would not be about it. You know, I'm not about that life. I have no patience for people who are late.
Make your opinion known, Isaac. Make it known.
Obviously, I'm not like a dick about it. Like if they're late, if someone's late once, I'm like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. If somebody is consistently late though, for no good reason, you know, if they're like, oh yeah, my dog died, I had to, pick the dead body up off the floor and take care of it before I could come here. I'd be like, okay, yeah, you know, stuff happens. But they were like, that's never the case. It's always just they're just bad at planning their time. They don't know how long it takes them to get ready. They don't know how long it takes them to drive places. They don't think at all.
So you're annoyed at the incompetence of it rather than the circumstance 100%. Of it. Yes.
Like, because it's almost like, obviously, if there's a problem, that's a thing, right? Like if your train is cancelled and the trip was from, you know, Edinburgh to Euston, like at that point, yeah, you're going to be late. It's fine. But when it's like,
I mean, if you're on the Edinburgh to Euston train or vice versa, you are going to be late. That's my line.
If it's the case that, like, for me, it's usually the case that this person is like a 14-minute drive away from where they need to be, and somehow they're still 15 minutes late. And I'm like, why? Just why? You're an adult. Get your stuff together.
So there we go. NTA. And don't be late if you know Isaac. Do not be late. Do not be late unless you've got a valid reason.
And if you don't have a valid reason, make one up real fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, anyway, Nick, that is our spin on the AITA Reddit. Like I said, there's a lot of posts. Some that are much darker than others that you can read on this subreddit. Let us know if you want to see more content like this in the future, and maybe we'll be back, maybe with different subreddits. And heck, we also have a Discord. You can go to whybut.discord.co, or you can go to the link in the description to go to the Nik and Isaac Discord. They're the same thing there. But there's a Nik and Isaac Discord channel. You can suggest subreddits, you can suggest posts if you want to get our opinions on them, all that kind of stuff. And if we do this again, we'll take a look at those. For now, though, thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe and like and do all that kind of good stuff. And we'll see you guys next time.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.